Okay, and we are live. Here comes council. Okay, good evening, council, staff. Looks like we have a fairly light agenda tonight, so nobody will be late for dinner. I am going to call this meeting to order, and I will confirm that we have quorum and we have everyone present. Councillor Fitzgerald hasn't joined us with video yet, but he is on the screen. The clerks have selected movers and seconders for all the motions, so assuming nobody has any objection, that's what we'll use as the meeting goes on. I have a resolution moved by Councillor Thompson and seconded by Councillor Schumacher. Be it resolved that the regular council meeting agenda dated Monday, December 14th, 2020 be adopted as printed and circulated. All in favor? And that carries. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Councillor Thompson.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I have a conflict in closed session. I've lost my spot on the screen here, but it has to do with, I think is it 1111.11? This is sort of embarrassing because it was sent to me earlier and I've lost it off my screen. Here, I'll find it.
There's only one.
Here we are. It's actually item 1111, confidential report Corp 2020-52 regarding potential disposition of land. And my business reason is for business reason works for the same company as the town's realtor record. So apologize for that, Your Worship, but that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move right into invited presentations, which we don't have any tonight. So I have a resolution moved by Councillor Fitzgerald and seconded by Councillor Withey. Be it resolved that the council meeting minutes dated November 23rd and 25th, 2020 be hereby adopted as printed and circulated. Questions? All in favor? And that carries. So we're right into reports from committees, meeting minutes. The first up being the Huntsville Library Board, which is myself, and there is not really anything to report on that. It was just tidying up with a little bit of business. So unless there's any questions from council, I don't have really anything to add. The next Committee of Adjustment, Councillor Stone.
Nothing earth-shattering happened at the meeting, unless anyone has questions.
Seeing none. The Huntsville Lake Bays Chamber of Commerce, Councillor Weed.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not much to report. I'll say this, that we're still working on our visioning for the future of what the chamber is going to look like, and we're reaching out to businesses. So I would extend that invite to any business watching, any business owner that wants to weigh in on what they see the future of the chamber would be. In other words, location, collaboration, etc. So I'll put that out. Other than that, I'll let Kelly Haywood, she's going to be here in 2 days at committee. She's going to give you a year-end wrap-up. So that'll be.
Any questions of Councillor Weed? Okay, and the municipal accommodation tax, and that's myself, and I don't believe we've had a meeting since our last update. I think we have one coming up this week. So I have a resolution moved by Councillor Armour, seconded by Councillor Weed. Be it resolved that the General Committee meeting minutes dated November 25th, 2020, and the recommendations contained therein be adopted as printed and circulated. Questions from General Committee? Seeing none, all in favor? That carries. And I have a resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Alcock and seconded by Councillor Stone. Be it resolved that the Planning Committee meeting minutes dated December 9th, 2020, and the recommendations contained therein be hereby adopted as printed and circulated. Deputy Mayor Alcock, anything to highlight from that meeting?
Sure, just a couple of things. We had a great update from our staff and our consultants, SGL Planning and Design, on the background and directions report for the proposed community planning permit bylaw. And so with our committee's approval or council's approval tonight, staff will finalize the directions report, incorporating all of the comments they've received to date, and they will also be authorized to begin the circulation of the report for public engagement. So it was really interesting, and I gather a couple of other people on council might be getting a separate briefing from Director Maxwell on that, so it's well worth it. We also approved 3 zoning bylaw amendments, one of which was to allow for a restaurant at 8 Park Drive, where there used to be a restaurant located, at the hair salon near the high school. And finally, committee also approved 2 site plan amendments, one of which also required the lifting of a holding. The first one was for the Muskoka Rock Company at 749 Muskoka Road 3 North. And the second one was for Investix Developments, Inc., which is the applicant for 119 and 195 Town Line Road East. So the site plan we approved for that was for the first phase of a 3-phase development, and the first phase includes 58 town and row houses, which will be included in the first phase. And that's my report.
Any questions from council? You've all heard the resolution then, all in favor? That carries. I have a resolution moved by Councillor Withey and seconded by Councillor Armour. Be it resolved that the special general committee meeting minutes dated December 10th, 2020, and the recommendations contained therein be hereby adopted as printed and circulated. And that was our special budget meeting last week. Are there any comments or questions from that meeting? Okay, and that's been forwarded to the next general committee meeting, correct? The budget? Okay. All in favor of that? And that carries. No reports from municipal officers. We're into bylaws already. I have a resolution moved by Councillor Weeb, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Be it resolved that bylaw numbers 2020-100 to 2020-104 inclusive and bylaw 2020-106 be reported and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 14th day of December 2020. 2021 fees and charge bylaw, amendment to delegation of authority bylaw, McFarker 138 Golden Pheasant deeming bylaw and 138 Golden Pheasant Shore Road allowance closing, and Wilson 12 Lakeside rezoning and Pantaleo 8 Park Drive rezoning. Questions? All in favor? Oh, did you have a question, Councillor Thompson, or?
Just an observation, on my agenda, it says 139 Golden Pheasant. You had 138, so.
Oh yeah, there was an addendum that updated it to 138. So 138 is correct.
Okay.
All in favor? And that carries. I have a bylaw moved by Councillor Weeb and seconded by Councillor Thompson, and this was just an administrative error, so we're correcting that. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2020-105 Smith, 1576 Etwell Roads rezoning be reported and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 14th day of December 2020 with the following amendments. Item 1 being struck out and replaced with the following. Map number D4 of zoning bylaw 2008-66 as amended is hereby further amended by rezoning part lot 22 and 23 concession 7 geographic township of Stisted, town of Huntsville from a rural 1 zone to a rural residential zone with exception 0474 as shown blackened, and to a rural 1 zone with exception 0474 as shown hatched on Schedule I attached here too. The map identified as Schedule I being replaced to recognized hatched areas in the northeastern sections of both park lots. Questions? All in favor? That carries. Okay, we're at previous business and we're going to get a verbal update from Director Maxwell, I believe. Should I read the resolution first? No, the verbal update first. Director Maxwell.
Thank you, Mayor Terziano. As Council will remember, at the November 23rd Council meeting, there was a discussion about potentially leasing the parking lot at 6 John Street, which is the Brendel Square parking lot. And staff were directed to go back and discuss with the owner. There had been a few questions raised. And when we started having that discussion with the owner, he rescinded his offer and said he no longer wanted to lease the parking lot to the town. So that's basically the update.
Okay, so the resolution from our previous meeting moved by Councillor Stone and seconded by Councillor Thompson, be it resolved that staff be directed to enter into an MOU with Sam Peters Investment to rent the parking lot at 6 John Street as public parking in 2021 at a cost not to exceed $17,000. And further, that staff be directed to enter into an MOU with the Downtown Huntsville BIA to share the cost to rent the parking lot at 6 John Street at a breakdown of 60% of the cost to be covered by the town of Huntsville and 40% of the cost to be covered by the BIA. And further, that the amount of $10,200 be added to the draft 2021 municipal accommodation tax operational budget for rental of parking spaces at 6 John Street. Councillor Stone.
At this time, I would like to withdraw the motion. And I sincerely hope that the owner of the property will reconsider and we can get back into discussions with him.
Okay, in order to withdraw the motion, we need unanimous consent from council. So I will ask, I guess, if there's anybody that objects to withdrawing the motion. Seeing none, we will consider it withdrawn. Thank you. There was some council correspondence in your packages, and we are now at the District of Muskoka update. I guess there was a Community and Planning Service Committee meeting on December 3rd, Deputy Mayor Alcock?
Yes, Your Worship. Thank you. It was a special meeting to hold the statutory public meeting requirement for the draft plan of subdivision application and common element condominium application for Berizik in the town of Huntsville off of Town Line Road. And that council will recall that we had previously approved a plan of subdivision for 5 residential lots, and the applicant came back and asked that that be increased to 14. So we held the statutory meeting at the district, and we only had one member of the public who commented, and that member was in favor of the application. So no one else from the public spoke to it. And in fact, I think there were 1 or 2 questions from committee, and that was it.
Are there any questions of Deputy Mayor Alcock? No? There was not a Health Services Committee meeting, but there was an Engineering, Public Works, and Joint Finance. Councillor Thompson, would you like to report on that one?
Well, actually, I thank you, Your Worship. I think probably because it was financial, maybe you'd be in a better position to speak on it, other than the fact that in the previous joint meeting, the corporate and the Corporate Services Committee, which of course you are part, had asked the Commissioner of Public Works to come back with the reduced budget for 2021, and that was accomplished in that particular meeting, much to my chagrin, I might add, but it was accomplished, and I think it resulted in an increase of, I think, around 6% or something, as opposed to the original request, which is around 11%. But I think you probably have the figures closer to you, Your Worship, than I do. But that was it. Yeah, so that was sort of the crux of that particular meeting.
That is absolutely right. And I was quite fine with the 5.5% to 6% increase on waste services. Glad to get that rate supported budget passed. There was a Municipal Modernization Committee meeting. We did not pass any resolutions at that, but that committee is still working away at downsizing, and we are meeting again early in January of 2021. And there was a quick district council meeting that morning as well, and that was just to ratify a couple of our unionized employee contracts. So that was all tidied up that morning. So that brings us to COVID update, and I don't really have anything today other than the fact that everybody realizes that we are now in red, which shrinks a little bit of what we can do, and certainly reduces the number of folks that are allowed into our restaurants and eating establishments. So definitely making it hard on our business community. Is there anybody else that has anything COVID related that they want to add at this time? Councillor Withy.
Thank you, Worship. I just don't know if there's been any, if anyone's heard anything, I'm basically speaking to you, Your Worship. There has been a lot of sort of chatter about why we're lumped in with these into this red zone, and when is there an opportunity for us to have that reconsidered, seeing as, you know, we have so few cases, and places like Kingston, for example, where my son lives, is actually still at yellow with easily more than double the cases we have. I can tell you personally, it's playing havoc with our Christmas plans, and I know I'm not the only one. And was just wondering if you had heard anything sort of back channel, if Norm or anybody is making any headway, or is it basically a done deal and put up with it sort of thing?
I can tell you that the mayors of Muskoka have had a conversation about sending a letter off to the Premier and the Medical Officer of Health, and as well Norm, requesting consideration of separation from Simcoe. Not sure that letter's gone. That conversation was just happening this morning. I have received some emails from folks who are a little bit concerned that we are lumped in with Simcoe. So yeah, I think there's conversation going on. There are some petitions out there going on. So we will see what this week brings, whether there's any conversation about that.
You know, just a quick follow-up, if I might. Interesting to note that there is sort of a lot of conversation about people just throwing caution to the wind and doing whatever they want. In the UK, they actually declared 2 nights of off their, to change their designation for Christmas Eve and Christmas, because I guess they realize people are going to cheat anyway, and maybe they will sort of not cheat beyond that as their plan. So interesting to note how other jurisdictions in the world are addressing this issue, because it is such a time of gathering. So in the UK, they've said you can have up to 3 families gather for those nights, and then that's it, back to whatever they're at, lockdown or what have you. But anyway, hopefully something will come of it. Thank you.
Okay, and we're going to go into closed session, but just before we do, because this is our last council meeting of the year, and I'm not sure there's any resolutions coming out of closed session. And for anybody who has tuned in, I just want to say to our community that I hope everybody really stays with the rules, whatever they may be at Christmas, whether we're red, whether we're orange, but to follow them and to be as safe as they can. And, we've put in 9 months now. So if there's a little more work to do before we're through this, I hope that we don't actually blow it for a couple of days at Christmas. I know it's hard, but we've accomplished a lot so far, and hopefully we just celebrate the season in smaller groups. And on that note, I would like to, on behalf of all council, wish our community a very safe, healthy, and happy Christmas season. So I have a resolution moved by Councillor Schumacher and seconded by Deputy Mayor Alcock that the next portion of the meeting be closed to the public, commencing now at 5:51 p.m. for the purpose of considering the following disposition of land matter under section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act, confidential report Corp. 2020-52, potential disposition of land. All in favor? And that carries. And council, as usual, we have to leave this link and zoom back into a link in closed session. Did you guys text Counselor Thompson if he wanted to come back, or he wouldn't be? Okay. 386. Just waiting for Counselor Armour and Counselor Whitney. There's Counselor Armour. Okay, I do have a resolution coming out of closed, and I need a mover and seconder for that resolution. Counselor Fitzgerald. Counselor Stone. So moved by Counselor Fitzgerald, seconded by Counselor Stone. Be it resolved that a bylaw declaring town-owned property ID 18 pin 4809903333 Block K, Plan 503 Burnell as surplus to municipal needs, and that the property be sold to the abutting landowner as outlined in Confidential Report Corp. 2020-52. And further that public notice be provided as per the provision of notice policy, and further that the disposition bylaw be presented to council for final approval. And further that the mayor and clerk are authorized to execute all documents necessary to finalize the sale of said town-owned property. Questions? All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Okay. That brings us to the end of it. I have a resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Alcock, seconded by Councillor Weed. Be it resolved that confirmation bylaw 2020-107 be received, numbered, and read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 14th day of December 2020. All in favor? That carries. Well, that certainly is a record. Moved by Councillor Armour, seconded by Councillor Stone. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 6:20 p.m. All in favor? Great. Thanks, Council. We will see everybody on Wednesday morning, where I know we're going to have a much longer meeting than we did tonight. So see you Wednesday. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.